Good evening and welcome to a summary of the news. His Majesty the King held talks with the Emir of Kuwait, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, on bilateral ties and the latest developments in the region. During the talks, which were attended by top officials from both sides, the two leaders stressed their keenness to enhance the strategic cooperation between Jordan and Kuwait in the interests of both countries as well as the Arab nation. King Abdullah praised Kuwait's support to Jordan that enables it to address various challenges, mainly in the economic field. The talks also dealt with the latest developments in the Middle East, mainly the Syrian crisis and the situation in Iraq, in addition to international efforts to fight terrorism and extremism. The Emir of Kuwait hosted an iftar banquet in honor of His Majesty and the accompanying delegation that was attended by senior Kuwaiti officials. His Majesty the King discussed with a delegation representing the European Union's Political and Security Committee, led by Ambassador Walter Stevens, the strategic partnership between Jordan and the EU and means to further boost it. The King affirmed Jordan's keenness to enhance coordination and cooperation with the EU, states and institutions. His Majesty voiced Jordan's appreciation for the support provided by various EU institutions that help the kingdom in addressing challenges facing it due to the regional crisis, mainly the Syrian crisis and the refugees. The talks also dealt with the efforts of EU institutions to enhance Jordan's economic and development capabilities, particularly facilitating rules of origin to increase Jordan's exports to the EU. His Majesty also reviewed with the delegation regional and international efforts to address crises in the Middle East and the role of the EU in solving these crises to preserve security and stability in the region. King Abdullah said failure to achieve just and comprehensive solution to the Palestinian issue will lead to more extremism and violence, as well as to crises in the region and the world. The two sides highlighted the need to intensify efforts with all concerned parties to address terrorism and extremism that threaten global peace and security. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign and Expatriate Affairs Nasser Jude, Minister of Political and Parliamentary Affairs Musa Maita, and Minister of Planning and International Cooperation Ahmad Fakhouri met the European Union's Political and Security Committee. Jude highlighted the importance of the partnership between Jordan and the EU in various fields. He also spoke about the situation in the region, its impact on the kingdom, as well as the importance of the EU's support to Jordan to enable it to address challenges facing it. On the Palestinian issue, the minister stressed the need to relaunch serious and effective negotiations between the Palestinians and Israelis. Jude also affirmed the importance of reaching a political solution to the crisis in Syria based on Geneva I resolutions to preserve the security and unity of the country. He also called for addressing terrorism and extremism, adding that Jordan will remain at the forefront of efforts to fight them. Minister of Political and Parliamentary Affairs Musa Maita reviewed political reforms that have been implemented by Jordan, the last of which was the elections law. Minister of Planning and International Cooperation Ahmad Fakhouri, for his part, reviewed the results of the London Donor Conference and the importance of supporting countries that have been affected by the Syrian refugee crisis. Prime Minister Hani al-Mulki stressed the importance of taking further measures to facilitate procedures for citizens at the Civil Status and Passport Department. During a meeting with the Department Director General Marwan Qtayshat, Al-Mulki said the department will be among the first institutions where procedures adopted by the department will be evaluated to provide better services to citizens. The Prime Minister called upon the Civil Status and Passport Department to communicate with citizens whose transactions need longer periods of time for completion and text them with a date to save them time and effort. He stressed the importance of working intensively to complete expatriates' transactions and making the process easier for them. Al-Mulki expressed satisfaction with the department procedures in terms of documenting and archiving the history of Jordan, its families, tribes and historic documents. The Premier toured the department and inspected the files section, which includes millions of documents. The Education Ministry announced that the General Secondary Education Certificate Examination Tawjih summer session started. Deputy Prime Minister for Services Affairs and Minister of Education Mohammed Nebat visited different exam halls. Some 127,874 students from both academic and vocational branches were scheduled to take the exam. Education Ministry spokesperson Walid Jalad earlier urged students to commit to the exams regulations and bring their ID cards, passports for non-Jordanians, or the security card for Syrians who do not have passports. A suicide attack carried out by Daesh terrorists killed at least 5 members of the Iraqi security forces in the city of Ramadi. Iraqi officers said the attack targeted an army base in Ramadi with several explosives-laden vehicles driven by suicide bombers and gunmen who fired on soldiers. They said 5 soldiers were killed and 11 wounded in the attack. Earlier this year, the Iraqi army regained control of Ramadi, the capital of the country's vast Anbar province, and in recent weeks has been battling to retake Fallujah, another city in the province, from Daesh terrorists. A Syrian journalist was shot by Daesh terrorists in southeastern Turkey. Ahmed Abdul Qadir was shot in the head by 2 Daesh militants riding a motorcycle and is being treated in the intensive care unit. Sources added that Abdul Qadir was the head of a local newspaper and one of the founders of Raqqa is being slaughtered silently, a campaign group against the radical militants. Border guards received 259 Syrian refugees over the past 24 hours and took them to the camps set up to receive them. Jordan Armed Forces Arab Army said Royal Medical Services cadres treated the injured refugees. And finally, fair weather continues in most regions for the rest of tonight with northwesterly moderate winds. A slight rise in temperature is expected tomorrow, creating hot conditions across the kingdom with a high of 37 degrees Celsius in Amman. The Gulf Watchers should expect hot conditions tomorrow with a high of 47 or 46 degrees, while winds will be northerly moderate and seas calm. And with this, we come to the end of this summary. Thank you for joining us.